Everybody say good morning.
Hello!
All right, we're going to factor what they call perfect square trinomials. Does anybody have the formula or what it looks like to be a perfect square trinomial memorized yet?
Yep.
I asked you guys to write it down a bunch of times.
Got
Okay. Here it's either a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, or the middle term could be negative. Could be a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Okay? Does anybody remember what they factor into?
They go into the foil.
No.
Yeah.
A trinomial.
They already are a trinomial. They factor into a plus b quantity squared, or if it's minus, it's just a minus b quantity squared. And I'm going to show you guys some hints on how to recognize if it's a perfect square trinomial or not. Okay? There's 3 questions you're going to ask yourselves. Is the first term a perfect square?
Yes.
What do you want to answer that question?
Yes.
Hopefully, yes. And then you'll write down its square root. Then go to the last term.
Oh,
Is the last term a perfect square?
Oh, yeah.
What do you want to hope to answer to?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Now, the middle term is the key. Is the middle term twice the product of the square roots? That's a lot of information right there. Is the middle term twice the product of the square roots?
Oh, yeah, always.
Well, you hope so. You never know, though.
All the time.
If you answer yes to all 3 questions, the trinomial is a perfect square. And it factors into a plus b quantity squared or a minus b quantity squared, depending if it's plus or minus. Okay? All right. Don't forget to look to factor out a GCF first. All right. Watch how this works. You're going to ask yourself those 3 questions and jot the answers down on the side. You have to answer the questions. Okay? First question. First of all, x squared plus 14x plus 49. Trinomial. Factors. Hopefully. Is the first term a perfect square? Here's my question. Is x squared a perfect square? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes. Jot down yes on the side. What's the square root, funny guy?
X.
X. Guys, the square root of x squared is x. Think about it. Go to the last term. Is the last piece a perfect square?
Yes.
Is 49 a perfect square?
Yes.
Yes. What is its square root? 7. Jot it down. Now, here's the tough question. Is the middle term twice the product of the square roots?
Yeah.
So, what's x times 7?
Wow, it is.
Double it.
14x.
Is that the middle? No, it's just 14x. Doubling. 7x is 14x. Is that the middle term?
Wow.
Yes.
Yes. Okay? I'm going next time. You're getting kids off task. All right. Does anybody think they know what it factors into? Think about it. It factors into a plus b quantity squared. What are a and b for this situation?
X plus 7. Quantity squared.
X plus 7 quantity squared. And you just factored the perfect square trinomial.
You're really smart.
Okay.
There's so much squeeze here.
Now, it's all recognition. And you got to write these things down because, as you're going to see in number 2, we don't answer yes to all the questions. Watch this. Is the first term, 4n squared, a perfect square?
Yeah.
What's its square root?
2n.
Nice. You are correct. Is the last piece a perfect square?
Yes.
What is its square root?
5.
Okay, now multiply the two pieces together. What's 2n times 5?
10 and
Double it.
20 and
Is that the middle term?
no.
This is so. The last question is no. So this is not a perfect square trinomial. But what we did try to do last grade is we tried to factor it using guess and check. 4n squared could be 2n and 2n, or it could be 4n and 1n. 25 is 5 and 5, or 25 and 1. Those are the only factors like we could come up with. Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
All right, mix and match those and try to make 16. Yeah, I thought I had it here, but it made 15. I thought I had it with the 4 and the plus ones are the easiest to guess and check with because everything's positive and it's always adding. So we could not make 16 out of here. I think this was maybe a typo, and that was supposed to be a 20n in the middle. But since we're going to leave it 16n, guys, what do we call something that
You
cannot be factored?
No.
Miss P or Miss Auntie?
Oh, we're not going to call them. What do we call a trinomial, guys, that we can't factor? You guys know the answer to this.
Oh, yeah.
Prime. Okay? And you write it down. Tomorrow we start reviewing everything. There's going to be some prime trinomials, but you really got to look carefully and try every possibility. Guys, that one cannot be factored. Some of them, and that's called a prime one. So we answered no to question 3. Again, I think this 16n was probably supposed to be a 20n, and then it would have been a perfect square trinomial. Because that's, look, 2n times 5 is 10n, doubled makes 20n.
Otherwise, we just try to make it out of the pattern.
Right, or you got to do guess and check.
Wait, on the test, is it just gonna be like mix and match so you don't know when it's a
Yeah, you got to recognize.
special case?
Yes, all recognition.
It's gonna take so much time.
Well, we found an awesome flow chart that we're going to give you guys on when we see you next Wednesday. We're not going to see you tomorrow. This flow chart gives you every possibility. It's awesome. Best thing we found. So you're going to get that on Wednesday because we're going to review everything. All right, let's go to the next one. P to the 6th. Is that a perfect square?
I don't know.
Wait, here's what we got. Can you take the square root of P to the 6th? Like what times itself would make P to the 6th? Huh?
P to the something.
P to the something, what would that something be?
2 or 3.
Nico is thinking. Guys, the answer is yes. It is a perfect square. And its square root, believe it or not, P to the 6th, the square root of that is P cubed. Because P cubed squared makes P to the 6th. Okay? How about the last piece? 25. Perfect square or no?
Oh, you bet you.
You betcha. Square root. 5. Well, what's P cubed times 5?
Ooh. 5 P cubed.
Double it.
Why?
Because that's what you have to do.
Alright, I'll double it and make 10 P cubed.
Is that the middle term?
No.
Are you blind?
It's negative 10.
Ah, the signs don't matter.
Alright.
As long as the last piece always has to be positive. The middle piece can be either positive or negative. It just factors into the second one.
Not
Okay.
about me.
P cubed minus 5, quantity squared. The reason we want you guys to write the square roots down is because that's what goes right into your binomial, right? What goes right into your answer.
Wait, that makes
Into
negative
the
10 piece. Oh.
Do FOIL on it. Do FOIL on it to check it. P cubed minus 5 times P cubed minus 5. P to the 6th minus 5P cubed minus 5P cubed plus 25. It's a special case because the middle two terms are the same. Okay? The middle two terms are the same. It's all recognition, people. All right. Try the next one. Albano is the first piece of perfect square. What's its square root?
3.
Nice. Is the last piece of perfect square.
Yes.
What's its square root?
2.
Nice.
Don't say.
Everybody in your head, multiply 3g times 2 together.
60.
Albano, what is it?
60.
Double it.
12.
Is that the middle piece?
12G is
You
the
got a
middle.
perfect square trinomial. So yes. What's it factor into, Sophia? You know? 3g minus 2 quantity squared. Done. You will be amazed at how fast you get at these, people.
Lightning.
And you guys usually do.
Lightning.
Okay? Alright. Load 8n to the 4th. 8 is 8 a perfect square? Is 8 guys, is 8 a perfect square?
Yes.
What's its square root?
No.
4.
No.
What's guys, is 8 a perfect square?
No.
No.
Seems
Okay?
like it would be.
But we could factor a GCF out of this. Don't forget to factor a GCF out of it. The GCF's either going to be 2, 4, or 8. Just because your number sense should tell you it's 2, 4. Take 162, guys, and divide it by 8 and divide it by 4. See if it's the greatest common factor.
4.
Divide it.
Smart.
I feel like
Here, divide it.
17, I'm guessing.
17 times 4 is 162. Alex Olson has god-awful, terrible number sense.
60.
160.
84 divided by 2.
No,
160
No, 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 no.
divided by
It's
4.
84.
It's gonna equal about 40. It's gonna be about 30.
Oh, 21
It's
divided
2.
by 8.
2.
What are you talking about, Olson?
I
I don't know.
don't know.
My question, is 162 divisible by 8 or 4?
Yes.
What is the answer? You got a calculator.
168 is 21.
Do one. It's 162.
Yeah.
And it's.
Oh.
Yeah.
It'd be like divisible by 2.
Yeah, it's like 20.
So does it go into it evenly? No. So what's the greatest common factor, guys, of those three pieces? Do you think? Divided by 4. It doesn't go into 162, but we know 2 goes into all of them. So I'm going to factor a GCF of a 2 out. So factor 2 out of everything. You can use your calculators for part of it, but it's 4
When you do P,
n to the 4th.
2P.
Well, there's no p in the first part,
Oh, yeah.
and there's no n in the last part, so there's no variable that comes out of it. Minus, what's half of 72? 36, very good. N squared p plus, what's half of 162?
81.
81. P squared.
Shut up.
Kev, you really have to let up. All right. Olson? All right, are we done?
No.
What do we got to check for now? Is that a perfect
Radius.
square? Is that a perfect square trinomial?
Yes.
Okay. The first piece. Check the last piece. Yes. 2n squared. Yes. 9p. And then what's 2n squared times 9p? Try to do that in your head.
18.
18 n squared feet.
Double it.
Yeah, 36 n squared feet.
So yes, guys, that thing in the parentheses is a perfect square trinomial. Do not forget about your greatest common factor of 2. You got to start with that. Who can factor that now? The factors are staring right at you in the face. Go ahead, Sean.
2n minus 9p quantity squared.
I think you forgot a squared on the end,
Oh,
right?
Square that in,
Yeah.
pal. Square that in.
2n squared minus 9p, quantity squared. When you write down your square roots, people, and you decide it's a perfect square trinomial, those factors go right into your parentheses.
I bet a lot of people are going to forget the negatives. Because
Negatives.
you're not writing them down.
All right, last one. We had a hard time figuring out, is there a greatest common factor, guys, of 25, a hundo, and a hundo?
Yeah.
25.
What is it?
No.
25.
25.
Well, there's no.
How'd you guys have a hard time figuring that out?
I don't even, they just didn't see it.
There's no.
So,
plans.
everybody factor a 25 away from that.
That's insane.
Wait, why can't we,
Because you always look to go with the GCF first.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. 'Cause that was
It makes your numbers a lot smaller and easier to deal with. So I'm going to factor a GCF of 25 away from all three pieces. And now, do you think it's a perfect square trinomial?
well.
Question 1. Yes.
do a
Okay.
Test.
Is the last piece perfect square?
You bet peanut
Yes. 2. Sean, go.
butter.
Kevin. Okay. You ready? You're done?
I'll just say yes.
You get me so frazzled I can't remember your first name. I'm going to call you Sean McNulty. And then is 2k doubled is 4k, so it is a perfect square trinomial. Do not forget your 25. K plus 2
Square.
quantity squared with a big old 25 in front of it. Big old 25 in front of it. Don't lose that GCF. I see kids do that all the time.
And how far are you graded the tests?
Halfway through
Wow, it's pretty
page
slow.
2.
How many pages were those?
Only 3 pages. It won't be long.
Like tomorrow maybe?
Hopefully tomorrow. All right, jump to the back. Let's do what they call the difference of 2 squares. Okay, we're going to factor the difference of 2 squares. They came up with a real creative name for this, people. Look at it. A squared minus B squared. Guess what that thing's called? The difference of 2 squares. Okay? Does everybody understand why they called it that?
Because it's subtraction, so you say difference, yeah, right? And then 2 squares, it's the 2 numbers, and they're squared.
That's why they call it the difference of 2 squares. We like the difference of 2 squares because it's about the only time we see 2 terms. Or, what do we call a 2-term thingy?
Binomials.
Binomial. Everything else, when we factor it, it's usually a trinomial. So when you get a binomial, you really want to look for that difference of 2 squares. This was the, does anybody not take the test yet? Close your ears. Earmuffs. Earmuffs. This was the bonus, guys, on the test.
Kevin, can you hear?
He's not getting credit for the bonus. All right. Does anybody remember what it factors into? A squared minus B squared. You want to take a guess? You guys know this already. If we did the what it multiplied into making this difference of 2 squares. So the factors of it would be A plus B times A minus B.
Oh yeah, we did that. There was a special case on the test we took before this test.
It's a special case. Okay? Again, you're going to ask yourself 3 questions to decide if something happens to be the difference of 2 squares. Is the first term a perfect square? Hopefully you answer yes. Second term, there's only 2 of them. Is that a perfect square? Is it subtraction?
Well, if we have a difference of 2 squares, those are always yes.
So, if you answer yes to all of them, you got the difference of 2 squares, and it factors into A plus B and A minus B. And always look for a GCF first. All right. Is the first term, guys, a perfect square?
Yeah.
What's its square root? Is the last term a perfect square? What's its square root? Is it subtraction? What do we call that thing then? Say it.
Difference of 2
Binomial.
squares.
Say it.
I
Two
already
binomials.
swear.
No, it's the difference of 2 squares. We answered yes to all the questions.
Where's Cuba?
Anybody know what it factors into?
Oil. Oh yeah, the big thing.
Take a risk, Nico.
X minus 2 and X minus 2.
No, you're close.
X minus 2, X plus
X plus 2.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter which one you put first. I always put the positive one first, but you could totally put the minus one first. How could you check to make sure you have the right answer?
Well,
FOIL.
Just
Watch this. X squared minus 2x plus 2x minus 4. And what's negative 2x plus 2x? Nothing. That's why they call this the difference of 2 squares.
I did the second one in like literally 5
I
seconds.
was gonna say
I shouldn't
when
box
you
that.
FOIL something, it always
Alex,
makes a
literally.
trinomial, but when the
Literally.
difference of 2 squares is there, they go away.
Because they vanish.
Like
Middle term makes vanish. Do the next one. Go.
Done.
okay, no, I'm not done now.
Meredith, first piece, perfect square. Square root. Last piece.
Yeah, it's fine.
Is it subtraction? What does it factor into? Guys, the difference of 2 squares, once you figure it out, is so simple.
Wow.
And think about how if you foiled that, the middle pieces would vanish because you'd have a plus 15x and a minus 15x. That makes nothing. Try the last one on that row. Go.
Yes. Yeah.
Melitza, first piece, perfect square. Square root. piece. Last piece, perfect square.
Yes.
Square root.
7.
Is it subtraction? Yes. What's it factor into, Melitza?
10
Oh.
minus 7.
Hiroshima.
You got it?
10y plus 7.
It's the square roots. One of them positive, one of them negative.
So 10y minus 7.
10y plus 7
And 10y minus 7.
and 10y minus 7. How many people think the difference of two squares is pretty easy?
Oh yeah.
Guys, when we have a binomial, decide GCF and difference of two squares. It's the only way we know how to factor it right now. Go get the last one done, or last row. You can do all of them.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Briggs is the first piece of perfect square.
Yes.
What's the square root?
12x.
It's the last piece of perfect square.
12x.
Oh, I wrote 14x. My bad. Nice catch, Eric.
I just said that for the last term.
12x is the one in perfect square.
Yes.
Yes. Please have more confidence in yourself. What's its square root? Is it subtractionary?
Yes.
What's it factor into?
12x plus 1 times 12x minus
Genius.
Oh yeah, Aaron.
And again, it does not matter the order of your plus and your minus. Sometimes I put the minus first, sometimes I put the plus first. Doesn't matter. Okay? All right, is 3 the number 3 a perfect square? This is not the difference of two squares yet. But I bet if we factor out a GCF, okay? And guys, let's change this problem. I'm going to change it just a tad because there's one like this on the homework and the kids were all bent out of shape about it. Change it to 3p cubed minus 108p. Add a p to both pieces, which will be part of the GCF now. Okay? What's the greatest common factor?
3.
And a variable counts.
P.
3p.
I didn't know 3 goes into 108, so it's just go P.
Okay? Somebody type in 108 divided by 3. I don't know what that is.
36?
36. Good number sets, Al. I
Oh,
think
I
that's
just heard it over
okay. Now, look inside the parentheses. What is that thing inside the parentheses called?
there. Prime.
The thingy.
It's not prime.
A difference of 2 squares.
It's
No,
the-
that's not a square. 36 is a square.
6 and 6.
6 and 6.
Oh, it is.
It is.
Oh,
So, yes,
I didn't
P.
see a square.
yes, 6, yes, subtraction. It's a difference of two squares. Do not forget your GCF of 3p. P plus 6, P minus 6. Know your perfect squares, people. 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121,
Did we go?
144, 169, 196, 225.
Did we go over those?
Yes.
That's it?
That's up through 15.
I mean, I know most of them.
If you don't know them, use your calculator. You can probably figure them
They
out.
were like.
Okay. All right, last one.
They were like.
GCF. That's what I thought was 9.
9.
But if you pull a 9 out, that leaves you a 5, and 5 is not a perfect square. So
3.
9.
that'll leave you a 15. It's not a perfect square. Try 45.
Oh, I was hoping 1.
Okay. M squared minus. Everybody divide 405 by 45 and see how many is left. What does that make, Meredith? 9.
9.
Now you got the difference of two squares in the parentheses. M, 3, subtraction. You answered yes to all your questions.
Oh,
Okay.
I got it.
Henry, what's that factor into?
45 times quantity, m plus 9 times m minus 9.
How about M plus 3,
3.
M minus 3? Make sure you take the square root of that number. 45, M plus 3, M minus 3.
Okay, what am I missing?
Okay? You are going to need your notes to get through that. You will not remember all that stuff.
I will.
Okay? Signing off. Everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
See you guys.